nanti also dimain sama kamu. Good morning everyone. We are from group 5 and today we will be discuss about measurement and force. Before that, allow us to introduce ourselves. My name is Muhammad Zikinur Akbar.
My name is Muhammad Lutfi Wibowo.
My name is Muhammad Iksan Kaya.
Okay, this is a table of content. Point number 1, sport data and subpoint of sport data is non-clause. Point number 2, sensor. Subpoint non-modifiers. And point number 3, positioning. Subpoint indirect WH question. Point number 4, properties. Subpoint properties indirect yes or no question. Point number 5, resistance. Subpoint of resistance is model plus passive. And last point is result and
Sports data. Sports data is numerical information used to measure performance and environmental condition in sport. Measurement instrument. Measuring instrument. Barometer. What is measure? Pressure, unit of measurement, kilopascal, and abbreviation KPI. Number 2, tachometer, speed, rotational, and revolution per minute, RPM. Odometer, distance, traveled, kilometers and km. Altimeter, height above sea level, meters and function altimeter. Altimeter function number 1, measure the altitude of an object above sea level. Number 2, detect air pressure change to determine height. Number 3, helps pilots maintain a safe flight altitude. Number 4, sport navigation in aircraft, drones, and hiking activities. Tachometer function. Number 1, measure engine rotational speed and RPM. Number 2, display how fast a shaft or component is rotating. Number 3, helps prevent the engine from reaching dangerous speed limit. Number 4, provides technicians with data for evaluating machine performance. Number 3, barometer function. Number 1, measure atmospheric and air pressure. Number 2, indicates whether change through pressure variation. Number 3, use for meteorological analysis and weather prediction. Number 4, help detect the potential for storm or rainfall. This video sports data.
Altimeter and barometer know-how and troubleshooting. The barometric altimeter Garmin used on outdoor watches utilize the fact that air pressure change of weather will be slower than mountaineering, and will trained to increase your altitude while pressure rapidly changes. Besides, it will automatically switch between barometer and altimeter 2 modes by continuous monitoring of air pressure.
Non-clause. A non-clause is a dependent clause that functions grammatically as a noun in a sense type. It can act as a subject, direct object, indirect object, object of a preposition. Formula: main clause plus that plus s and plus verb plus subject plus verb. Sentence sample. He knows that it works. Number 2, they hope that you will pass. Number 3, I think that he runs. This is a video class.
What is a noun clause? A noun clause is a group of words that acts like a noun. It contains a subject and a verb. That is very important. Here's an example. I think that English is fun. Is the verb, so English is the subject. That English is fun is a noun clause. Now here's a tip for you. If a word group answers the question what, it might be a noun clause. I think what? I think that English is fun. It is a noun clause. Here's another example. What I saw surprised me. What surprised me? What I saw. What I saw is also a noun clause. How to form noun clauses. Noun clauses usually start with that. So that is the most basic one. She said that he left.
This is dialogue. It was a sunny afternoon at the campus cafe. Zikri and Lutfi were taking a short break after finishing their group project. While sipping their drinks, talking about their friends.
Hey Lutfi, did you know that Mia passed the exam?
Really? I didn't expect she would finish it too well. It's
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, the teacher said that the project was the best.
Wow, that's impressive. She must have worked really hard.
Definitely, I think she deserved the reward.
I agree. Everyone announced that she always does her best. Next. Sensors. A sensor is a device that detects and measures physical quantities such as force, pressure, temperature, or movement, and converts them into electrical signals. Functional proximity sensor. Proximity function. Number 1, detect the pressure of an object without physical contact. Number 2, measure short distance based on change in electric, magnetic, or wave fields. Number 3, use in automation system such as automatic doors or robotics. Number 4, prevent collision by signaling when an object approaches. This is functional sensor leader. Sensor leader geodetic function. Number 1, measure distance by emitting laser pulse and calculating their reference time. Number 2, production highly accurate 3D mapping for geospatial surface. Number 3, generate surface model of terrain, buildings, and vegetation. Number 4, use in topographic mapping, construction, and autonomous navigation. Function, motion, and ranging detector. Motion and ranging detector function. Number 1, detects motion within a specific area. Number 2, measure the distance of moving or stationary objects. Number 3, use in security system, robotic, and industrial automation. Number 4, provides position and movement data for analysis of system control. This is video sensor.
Sensors are a part of everyday life at home and work. There's probably not a day that goes by where you aren't impacted in some way by a sensor. In this video, we're going to talk about what a sensor is, what it can do, and how it can be used in process control. Okay, off we go. A sensor is a device that senses something. Today, we have sensors that can see, feel, hear, smell, and even taste. Without sensors, our home and work lives would be quite difficult. For example, as you drive to work, the traffic lights at an intersection are controlled by sensors embedded in the road. These sensors detect your arrival at the intersection.
Non-modifiers. Non-modifiers are words, phrases or clauses provide additional information about a noun, such as describing its qualities, quantity, and position. As non-modifier plus member. Sentence sample number 1: the car engine produces high power. Number 2: the student project won the competition. Number 3: the factory workers operate FT-UMJ. This is video modifiers.
Noun modifiers. Noun modifiers are nouns that modify other nouns. For example, chicken, soup. Another example of a noun modifier is Coca-Cola collectibles. Notice that the word Coca-Cola is a noun and the word collectibles is a noun. A noun modifier serves as an adjective. Like all adjectives in English, an adjective is always singular. Notice Coca-Cola is singular, but collectibles is plural.
The dialogue non-modifiers.
It was quite morning in the mechanical workshop. Isan and Zigri were preparing for their final project presentation. They want to make sure everything was ready before class start. Hey Isan, did you bring the project report file?
Yes, I saved it in the laptop folder.
Great. I also finished the engine component drawing last night.
That's good. We should print it before class.
Right. The team presentation schedule is at 10 a.m.
Okay, let's check everything one more time. Measurement data managed in real time to determine the location of an object in three-dimensional space. This is a sample of positioning radar, GPS, and echo sounder. Radar function. One detects the presence of object using radio waves. Two measures object distance based on signal return time. Three determines the speed and direction of moving objects. Four used in aircraft navigation, marine navigation, and weather monitoring system. GPS. GPS function. One determines the position of an object on Earth with high accuracy. Two computes coordinates based on signals from satellites. Three provides information on speed and direction of travel. Four used in vehicle navigation, mapping, surveying, and tracking system. Echo sounder. Echo sounder function. 1. Measures water depth using sound waves. 2. Calculates distance to the seabed from sound reflection time. 3. Used for mapping and ship navigation. 4. Helps detect underwater objects such as reefs of shipwrecks. This video
In the modern world, wherever we go, there is a vital technology allowing us to use smartphones or other navigation devices to find where we are. This is Global Positioning System, or GPS. You may have heard of GPS, but do you really know how it works? The US Department of Defense launched the first 11 GPS satellites in 1978 for military purpose, but they were made available for civilians use in the 1980s. Today, 31 GPS satellites are operating with coverage in the most part of the world. There are 13,000 miles or 20,000 kilometers above us, and each satellite is built to last about 10 years. How does GPS work? To locate your position on the map, a receiver requires at least signals from 4 satellites. A distance will be provided between each receiver and each satellite. By intersecting the 4 major results, the position of the receiver is located. That's how GPS works.
WH question. Indirect WH question are indirect forms the begin with a WH word. What, where, when, why, who, what, how. Once the question is embedded, the word order flips into statement order. No inversion, no question mark, unless the whole sentence happens to be a benign question. Formula: introductory phrase plus WH word plus positive statement. Sentence sample: 1. She wonders why the motor runs. 2. He asks where the sensor works. 3. They wonder when the test starts. This video indirect WH.
Hi, this is Bo. Today, we are going to talk about direct and indirect questions. Let's look at an example of a direct question. Where is the restroom? And here is an example of an indirect question. Can you tell me where the restroom is? Both direct and indirect questions mean the same thing, but indirect questions usually begin with do you know, can or could you tell me? And if you look closely, there are 2 parts to the indirect questions. Let's take a look at the 2 parts. The first part can start with do you know, can you tell me, could you tell me, plus where the restroom is. We connect the first part to the second part to make indirect questions. Let's take a closer look at part 2 of indirect question. Can you see the difference between the 2 yellow boxes? Look at the verb is. Remember, in indirect question, the verb in part 2 is always at the end. Why do we use indirect question? A stranger asks you, where is the restroom? And you're not happy. But if she asks, could you tell me where the restroom is? Now you're happy because this question is nicer than the last one. Now you know, indirect questions are more polite than direct questions. That's all for now. See you next time.
It was calm afternoon in the campus library. Lutfi and Iksan were working on their mechanical engineering assignment. They were discussing some topics they didn't fully understand. Lutfi didn't know where the lecture keeps the reference books?
I'm not sure, but maybe you can ask the librarian where they are placed.
Good idea. I also wonder why he didn't explain the formula clearly.
Yeah, maybe he wanted us to find out by others of us.
That makes sense. Let's search it in the book first.
Agreed, we'll understand better once we read it.
Properties. Properties are attributes that define the behavior and response of a material to mechanical force and environmental condition. This is impact test, tensile test, and compressive strength test. Impact test function. 1. Measures a material's toughness under sudden impact loads. 2. Determines how much energy the material can absorb before fracturing. 3. Evaluates material behavior under sudden shock condition. 4. Used to assess material safety in high-risk components. Tensile test function. 1. Measures a material's tensile strength. 2. Determines elastic modulus, strength, and yield point. 3. Shows how a material behaves when filled until it breaks. 4. Use for selecting suitable materials in structural design. Compressive strength test function. 1. Measures a material's ability to withstand compressive loads. 2. Determines the strength limit before the material fails. 3. Evaluates material stability in construction application. 4. Commonly used to test concrete, stone, and other structural materials. This is
1. Strength. In the mechanics of material, the strength of the material refers to the ability of the material to resist an externally applied force without breaking or yielding. That is the ability of a material to withstand an applied load without failure. The strength of a material is evaluated based on the amount of load it can take before fracturing. There are different types of material strength. They are compressive strength, tensile strength, shear strength, fatigue strength, torsional strength, bending or flexural strength, etc. 2. Elasticity. Elasticity is the ability of a deformed or stretched material body to return to its original shape and size, after being stretched out or altered by a force. When a material is deformed due to an applied force, it undergoes internal changes that cause stress. If this force is removed, and the material returns to its original state, it is said to exhibit elasticity. Materials that display a high degree of elasticity are termed elastic materials. To a lesser or greater extent, most solid materials exhibit elastic behavior, but there is a limit to the magnitude of the force and the accompanying deformation with which elastic recovery is possible for any given material. This limit is called the elastic limit.
Indirect yes or no question. Indirect yes or no question are indirect forms of yes or no question that are introduced with if or whether. The verb structure follows normal statement, order, and there is no inversion. Formula: introductory phrase plus if or whether plus subject plus verb. Sentence sample. 1. I wonder if it works. 2. Could you tell me whether he is coming today? 3. He asks whether it fell.
Hello everyone, welcome back. So let's continue with the indirect speech today with questions. So, and then I asked him if he wanted to come to our party. I hope you also ask him if he had a girlfriend. So as you can see, now we are using if. Okay, let's see. Have you cleaned your room? Now, this is a yes or no question. If somebody asks you that, you have to say yes or no, right? Have you cleaned your room? Yes, I have. Or no, I haven't. So that's a yes or no question. And when we are reporting this, we will use if. So my mom asked me if I had cleaned my room. Okay, again, we have to change the tense, remember? From present perfect to past perfect.
It was a rainy afternoon in the engineering workshop. Zikri and Lutfi were checking the materials for their mini machine project. While walking, they start talking about the next class.
Lutfi, do you know if your lecturer will come today?
I'm not sure. I was just wondering whether the class will be online or not.
Yeah, I also asked my friend if the schedule has changed.
That's why for a few minutes before starting.
Good idea. We can continue our design while waiting.
Great, at least we'll be ready if arrive.
About resistance. Resistance is the intrinsic ability of a material to withstand or resist damage, deformation, or adverse effect when subject to certain force. For example, structure cross bracing, vertical bracing, and diagonal bracing. This is a function of cross bracing. Number one, add structural stiffness using an X-shaped pattern. Number two, resist lateral force such as wind or earthquakes. Number three, prevent excessive deformation or swaying of the building. Number four, enhances stability in steel frames towards all multi-story buildings. Function of vertical bracing. Resist horizontal force on the vertical plane of the structure. Provide stability to the building frame against wind or seismic loads. 3. Connect column element to enhance lateral strength. And last one, commonly applied in building cores or shear wall system. And function of the diagonal bracing, add lateral strength using inclined member in the structure. Transfer horizontal load to the foundation more efficiently. Reduce the risk of collapse from side force. And used in steel frames, bright and lightweight structures. So this is
Today, let's explore how earthquake-resistant buildings work and uncover the brilliant technology behind them. The base isolation system. Imagine a regular building built directly on the ground. When an earthquake strikes, the ground shakes rapidly, and that motion transfers directly into the building. The entire structure begins to sway violently, causing cracks in the walls, weakening the columns, and sometimes even leading to a total collapse. This happens because the force of the quake flows uninterrupted from the ground into the building. Now let's look at an earthquake-resistant building. This type of building has a base isolation system installed between the foundation and the structure itself. So, when an earthquake hits, the ground may shake, but the building stays relatively still. Why? Because special bearings below the foundation absorb and redirect the energy. They allow the ground to move, while the structure above remains stable, preventing severe damage. At first glance, it might look simple, but inside, there's advanced engineering. A base isolator
is made from layers of high-strength rubber and steel plates. Each unit contains alternating layers of rubber and steel, designed to move slightly during a quake. These components are flexible enough.
So this is modal passive. Modal passive is grammatical structure formed by combining a modal verb such as can, could, may, might, must, should, will, or would. With the passive voice, it is used when the focus is on the action or the result of the action rather than on the person who performs it. Formula: modal plus be plus past participle or verb 3. For example, this tea can be drunk with lemon. This document must be signed. New planets will be discovered.
Hello everyone. Our lesson for today is about modal verbs and the passive voice. This is part 4. The modal verbs are can, must, will, and should. The structure of the sentence is modal plus be plus past participle, or what we call verb 3. You can drink this tea with lemon. This tea can be drunk with lemon. Notice the modal verb can, be, and then the verb 3. You must sign this document. This document must be signed. People will discover new planets. New planets will be discovered. Will be discovered. You should keep the door open. The door should be kept open. Should be kept.
So this dialogue, it was busy morning in the mechanical laboratory. Isa and Lutfi were preparing materials for their engine testing experiment. They were checking if everything was ready before the lecturer arrived.
Lutfi, the tools must be cleaned before we start the test.
Right, and the fuel tank should be taken care of.
Yes, the safety rules have to be followed all the time.
I agree. The report can be finished after the experiment.
Good. Let's start preparing to start the setup now.
Okay. Everything will be referred on the lecture comments.
Next, result. The result is the final outcome, consequence, or effect of an action, process, calculation, or set of circumstances. So, for example, solid rivet, blind or rivet, and split rivet. Function of solid rivet are used when high strength is required and both sides of the joint are accessible. Common application include aircraft structure or airframes, bridge and steel construction, machine component and vehicle frames, tanks, boilers, and high pressure assemblies. Blind or pop rivet are used when only one side of the workpiece can be accessed. They are well used in vehicle body panels, light guard construction, aluminum sheets, enclosure, electronic casing brackets, and quick repairs. G-Drive have legs and that split and spread out like an anchor. They are used for light-duty applications such as number 1, craft, 2, leather goods, bags, shoes, 3, toys like furniture, decorative items, and tin, wood, or soft materials.
With the ever-increasing demand for greater speeds in aircraft, it has been necessary to remove every possible projection from the outer surface of the airplane. Everything that would induce turbulence with its attendant drag must be reduced to a minimum. The use of a rivet, whose head is flush with the surface being riveted, eliminates the drag of the ordinary rivet head and thus aids in accomplishing our higher speeds. The choice of method to be used in flush riveting is based on the thickness of the sheet next to the manufactured head. Let's assume we're driving a rivet 1/8 inch in diameter with a 100-degree countersunk head. Probably the best production method involves sheets of 40 thousandths thickness or greater. We start with the assembly of the sheets, drilling the correct size hole for the given rivet. We're using a 1/8 inch rivet, so we drill a number 30 hole, then countersink, using a special countersinking tool with a 2-flute cutter and with a 100-degree cutting angle and number 30 pilot. Unless specific approval has been obtained from the stress engineer, the countersinking should not go through the first sheet. If sheets are properly clamped during countersinking, it is not necessary to disassemble them for burring, which is a costly operation. Next, we insert the rivet, the length of which has been determined by adding 1 1/2 times the diameter of the rivet to the grip. The grip, as shown here in white, is equal to the total thickness of the material being riveted. A vibrating type air gun with a flush rivet set and a regular bucking bar may be used. Ordinary riveting technique will do for driving of this type rivet. The finished rivet should have a formed head.
The on grammar is expressing cause and result. Expressing cause and result refers to linguistic structures that show the relationship between an action or event, the cause, and its outcome or consequence, the result. Phrase have to cause and effect. For example, because, since, as, know that, due to, and so, therefore, thus, as a result, consequently. For example, he stayed at home because he was sick. It was raining, so we stayed at home. As a result of her hard work, she got promoted.
Cause, effect. In this video, we will learn the difference between the cause and effect. Cause refers to why something happens. Effect refers to what happens as a result. In a sentence, the cause can come first, followed by the effect, or the effect can come first, followed by the cause. We can use signal words to help us identify the cause and the effect. Some examples of signal words that introduce the cause are as a result of, because, since. Some examples of signal words that introduce the effect are hence, so, therefore. Now let's look at some examples. John was unwell, so he went to the hospital. In this example, the cause comes first, followed by the effect. The signal word so helps us identify that the effect is being introduced. The sentence can also be written as John went to the hospital because he was unwell.
It was hot afternoon in the campus workshop. Zikri and Isan were fixing a mini engine for their mechanical project. Suddenly, the machine stopped working. The engine stopped because the fuel ran out.
Oh, I see. We didn't check it earlier, so the test failed.
Yeah, since we were in a hurry, we forgot to refill it.
That's true. Next time we should make a checklist.
Good idea. As a result, we won't make the same mistake again.
Agreed. Let's fix it and restart the test.
Thank you, everyone. Any question?
My name is Dewa. I want to ask something about sensor. May I? Yeah. As we know, you guys were talking about sensors earlier, and can you guys give an example of how a sensor is used in everyday activities?
Okay, thank you for question. Who's next?
Yes, I have a question about non-clause. The question is, give an example of a non-clause used as subject. Thank you.
For the question number one, for example, proximity sensor, such as in smartphone to turn off the screen when making a call, and then to tracking parking, and we have for assistant feature. Yes, like that. Do you agree with my answer?
Your answer it is very helpful for me and maybe for our friend in this class. Thank you.
Number 2, question is give an example of noun clause versus subject. Where example, what the said was suppressing. The clause, what the said act as the subject.
Thank you for your answer. Yes, I'm agree with your answer. Thank you.
Thank you to everyone, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.